and she was able to still receive that scholarship, but that's a very fortunate outcome, and it very easily could have gone the other way where they revoke that. And even more, we want to get kids, especially high schoolers, start thinking about what college they want to go to, what kind of job are they going to want, where, you know, or even just blind dates. I mean, how many friends have you had that you set someone up and the first thing you do is Google them to see where they're at and do your homework. And college admissions reps, coaches, college coaches, they're all doing those same types of activities, just looking how you represent yourself online. All right, so these are the types of questions I like to challenge young people with, and adults, professionals, about, you know, before you make that post, what are the adults in my life going to think about this? How does it reflect me? Could this get me into trouble? And how could this impact my future? I also like to mention the rule of fives. So how is this post going to affect me 5 minutes from now, 5 days from now, 5 weeks from now, 5 years from now? You know, things like that. It gets kids thinking more into the future about how something could really come back to bite them. And we don't need an online issue to do that. All right, TMI, does anyone know what that stands for? What's that?
Too much information.
Yes, too much information. And what I like to tell kids, and even I have friends like this, but we always have, everyone has that one friend. If you know what time she wakes up in the morning, you know if she makes it to the gym or not, you know where she got her coffee and what music she listened to on her way to work, just because that's the type of information they've, you know, shown their Snapchat story. Or Instagram story. It's just there's a lot of people share their entire life through social media, and you know that can be fine and it can be a lot of fun. But if I'm a predator online, I now know your pattern of life. I know that, you know, if I'm going after a high schooler or a juvenile, I know if they have volleyball or football practice in the morning. I know if there's an away game. I can figure out that schedule. Or if they have a part-time job, or, you know, try to put those things together. So while it can be fun to share that information, you're also putting a lot out there for that the wrong person could find. Again, reaching people that you don't want it to. Lock down your pages. You don't have to be friends with everyone. Just because you don't have to have the entire world know, you know, what's going on in your life. Personal information. So these are the type of things young people say there's no way I'd put this online. I would never put this on my Instagram. However, there's a lot of applications that share your location. So if you think of Snapchat, Snap Maps is built right in there, right? You can see where your friends are. Facebook and Instagram, you can do check-ins to show where you are with friends or family. Home and cell phone numbers, you know, a lot of those you can enter on your social media sites. You don't have to. Home addresses, you might think there's no way I put that out there. But what a lot of people don't know is if you're taking pictures, those pictures can contain metadata. And the metadata can include GPS location information. So I actually worked a stalking case where a kid was taking pictures, sending them to someone online, and then the other person was saying how they need to keep sending more pictures, and they said, if you don't, we'll come get you. And they showed him a picture of his house. Well, that GPS location information is embedded into those pictures, and that's how we were able to show them, or show him and his family how they were able to get that location. So it's out there. Also, a note about passwords. You know, if you have Netflix or Hulu, how many of those share those account with family or friends? And then think about your other applications, your banking app that you have on your phone. Is that the same password? Is that the same email account that you have? There's a reason why we want those to be different passwords for different accounts, just because people can share that information. And you see these all the time on Facebook. And again, it's a fun way to get to know people. But again, look at these questions. Your mother's maiden name, your middle name, where you were born, your pet's name, and then think of the security questions that you have for a lot of your accounts, right? And there's people out there who have the time and energy to gather these security information and try to become you online. So I think identity theft, it isn't a secret, it's going on. But look at the information that you're putting out there and what you think is a harmless way that really could be used against you. Another part of this is I was recently at Cologne High School and they had their senior spotlight in their newspaper. I know we did that at Avon growing up, and I'm not sure if you guys do that here in Wagner. So with that, what type of information do you see in the senior spotlight? You have their full name, their parents, how many siblings, where they want to go to college, what they want to be, their favorite food, their favorite movie, all this really personal information. And so what I did was, before I went to Cologne, I did a quick Google search. I found a couple senior spotlights, printed them off. I got to school and then I noticed that those two individuals were in the crowd, and I asked them if we'd met before, and they said no. And then I started reading off those things. And that's really scary when a complete stranger knows that really personal information about you. And then again, think of my role and my job as an investigator. If I'm a predator, I can use that information to become the best significant other for either of those individuals. Right? I can tell that young lady, we're gonna go have your favorite dinner, we're gonna watch your favorite movie, and I'm just gonna look like the dream guy for her. So again, it's not always bad that we put this information out there, but we have to be aware that it is out there and how people might use that against us. So privacy rules, it is really important to have different passwords for different accounts that you have. And don't share them. Use privacy settings. Lock down your social media accounts. There's no reason why we have to share everything with the world. This says to remember who you friend online. Know who you friend online. I tell kids they should never have to open up and be friends with everyone. That's not how things should work. Make sure you know everyone who you're letting into your social media circle. Limit access to your location. Again, it's just a way that those predators can find you more easily and develop that pattern of life for you. Look for the lock symbol or this S at the end of website addresses. That just stands for secure, especially if you're doing any online shopping or banking information that should be out there. Don't share others' personal information, don't share your own, don't share passwords. This seems really simple, but in the scheme of things, that's where a lot of things go wrong. All right, so sexting. Here in South Dakota, we do have a juvenile sexting statute, so it is a it is a misdemeanor for young people. And at this point in the presentation, talking with kids, I kind of pick on the guys, and I talk to these young men and I say, don't ask girls for nude photos. Just don't do it. It's not cool. It's illegal. And you can get a misdemeanor for asking and receiving those photos. And it's not worth it. How are you going to explain, that one photo to your family, to your coaches, to that college admissions rep? It's not. And then I turn to the girls. We're all sitting in the same gym, and I tell the girls, I just asked these guys not to ask you for photos, but you need to know that they will. Okay? They're going to ask you for photos, and they're going to give you a bunch of lines, and they're going to tell you a bunch of lies and how to get them. So they're going to tell you all they need is one, right? All they need is that one photo. Or once you send me the one photo, I'm not going to show it to anyone. Okay? Or they're going to say, I'm going to delete it right after it's gone. Okay? Or they're going to say, my ex-girlfriend used to give me these photos, so you really need to show your love for me and do the same thing. So they're going to feed all of these lines to you, and I would not have a job if this didn't happen, right? So this is exactly how these cases work. Those are the lines that they're going to say, and it's a lie. So the next, and this is very accurate, there's a lot of power in a picture, and how that narrative goes is they're going to say, hey, Kendra gave me a picture. They're going to say, no, she didn't. They're going to be, yeah, she gave me a picture, she gave me a nude. It was, prove it, right? And then this is what happens. And then everyone finds out. The next, here's a quick video, but you can see how this works.
Check this out. Whoa! Oh man! Let me send that to you. I'm not gonna send that to you. Look at that. Check that out. I had to send this to Mark.
So that's very real in how that works, and a lot of times I get involved when the friend finds out that a picture was shared or a parent finds out, but a lot of my cases work with the last guy too, the one that's completely out of the picture, who was never ever supposed to see this image. So these images, you know, we say they could get lost or misplaced, and there's kids who say there's no way I would ever lose or misplace these photos. And a quick story about that is there was a young girl here in South Dakota. She lost her cell phone, right? Seems pretty mundane, but she had been sending some pictures to her boyfriend, actually exchanging pictures with her boyfriend, so he was sending pictures to her too. And one guy, he told us he was out walking his dog, finds his cell phone and finds the pictures that they were sharing. Well, you know, this young lady didn't know, but the guy who found her phone, he liked those images. And one thing in child pornography rings, a lot of times to get into those circles, you need to submit new material. You need to have new photos. So he was able to, he shared those images, you know, that they had only intended for each other. And that's how we were able to find him, found out how he got the cell phone and the pictures of these, you know, two young individuals. And that's another thing too, is a lot of times everyone thinks this is young girls. It's not. And for a lot of the online predators, it's really more about opportunity than anything. It doesn't matter male or female. And the video showed it too, so it's very easy for those pictures to be passed around without your permission. Once you send the first one, you no longer have control of it, and it's to whoever you send it to. It's in their hands. And you know, talking with young people, you know, there's a lot of young love, and that's how they show that they care about each other. But a lot of times that can fizzle out, and not all relationships end up in marriage and happy endings, right? And so there are websites that people can post this for revenge. And so that's a way that they can hurt someone by sharing those images as well. We'll talk more later about how these images can be used to bully and blackmail you. But again, just get you into trouble. It's not worth, these images are not worth a misdemeanor, and they're really not worth coming back later to affect you in a career choice or anything along those lines. Okay, so whenever young people, I ask them, don't take images of yourself that you wouldn't want everyone to see. And I use the grandma rule. If you don't want grandma to see that picture of you, don't take it, right? If you don't put it online, don't send it to anyone. And again, don't be the one to ask or pressure anyone into images. And don't forward them on if you stumble across them. And that's one thing too, so that's a lot. The sexting we see more in young people in relationships or who want to be in relationships. But just online, there's a lot of people, again, these online predators who will send inappropriate pictures of themselves or other people just to get a response. Or, or there's a lot of applications and websites out there where you can video chat with complete strangers, and they can make inappropriate requests. They can, ask to flash the camera or, take these pictures or make videos for them. And it is perfectly fine, and we hope that the young people say no. The next video I'm going to show you kind of goes into where the solicitations or types of requests are going to come from strangers online.
We also spoke to Dr. Lisa Strowman. She's a former FBI agent and current clinical psychologist. Now she's the director of the Digital Citizen Academy and Technology Wellness Center.
So to me, it's definitely a prostitution platform for turning into one. She's being notified of how many followers she's getting.
We showed several disturbing live streams to both women who were mortified by what they saw. This elementary school-age girl was screaming herself singing. One viewer warns her to be careful for pedophiles, and within seconds, they arrive. Commenters begin instructing the girl to pull her shirt up higher, to pull her pants down, and tell her, quote, she's so hot.
She looks like she might be 7, 8 years old.
Several of the live streams showed underage girls dancing sexually, while their male viewers egged them on in the comments and showered them with virtual currency.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you guys for all these gifts.
It's very clear that these young girls are creating sexualized dances in order to elicit a response. They want to get prizes from the people that they can turn into money.
So that's very real. We had an investigator work a case where it was simply a gentleman online who was holding up an Amazon gift card and covering up part of the code and said, send me a video or a picture and I'll give you the rest of the code. It was like a $100 Amazon gift card. And do you think any of those kids got the rest of that online redemption code? No. And there were a significant amount of juvenile, male and female children who responded to that.
So otherwise, how do they make money?
What's that?
How would they exchange money if they're promised, send a picture, I'll send you this? Do they ever get money to like entice them to send more, or how would that even work?
I guess yeah. So I haven't seen any where they got money. I've seen where they've sent gift cards because they really don't want it tied back to them. But I've also seen where they've sent like prepaid cell phones or tablets.
In the mail?
In the mail, yeah. Just send it straight to their home. And kids are creative. I mean, they can send it to a friend's house and then pick it up over there without mom and dad figuring it out. Yeah.
So are you with the FBI or the state?
I'm with the state of South Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I work closely with FBI now. And again, that ICAC network, we're nationwide. So I can work with other ICAC investigators throughout the state working these cases. Yeah. It's not, we might have just victims in the state or suspects in the state, but we can work with anyone nationwide investigators.
Lord, always learning new stuff.
Yeah,
man,
it is.
man.
Yeah. just with everything.
So the victim witness, I mean, I would think there'd be retaliation if it gets into a real investigation, or, you know, these kids would be scared.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have victim witness specialists who work with these families, and just to keep them updated throughout the case, how this is going. And, you know, a lot of times these are young people and they feel like they're in a committed, loving relationship, right?
Yeah.
So mom and dad are getting in the way, and the cop is getting in the way of this committed relationship. So it's hard for them to want to come forward a lot of times. Yeah. Yep. And this is another quick video I like to showcase just how these requests from strangers can go too far.
There's another video from a special guy. I can't believe we haven't talked all day. I wish he went to my school or a little closer so we could finally meet. I get up. In an hour. Don't spend too long with them. I know you've been waiting for this for a while. I wanted to give you something special. Who are you? Why are you doing this?
And so a lot of young people here don't think that this is happening in South Dakota, but I can tell you that we had a case exactly like that. Young teenage girl, super smart. She ended up, dating someone online, but it got to the point where he was extorting her, and we call it sextortion, where they say, or else, you have to have sex with me, you have to send these videos or these images to me, or else, or I'm going to post them online. And anyway, so she was in this dilemma, and she was out for volleyball. She had to quit volleyball because he was becoming so demanding on her with the images and videos, just completely corrupted her life. And when we got to visit with her, she said she was between committing suicide or telling her mom. She felt like those were the two options that she had. And we ended up finding this guy. He was out on the East Coast, and he had 39 young people that he was doing this to, male and female. So again, it's more opportunity. It's not always male or female preference. In a similar token, again, these guys, with young ladies, they might pretend to be a model executive, and what young girl doesn't, want to be told she's beautiful, and it just starts out, you send me some pictures, and then slowly take your clothes off, and then it's this extortion circle. What we've seen with young gentlemen too is, again, they'll enter these dating relationships. A lot of times they think it's a young female, but it's not. There can be adult males that like these young males. We had a case where a young male was sending, in these images and videos of him masturbating to an adult male, well, he thought was his girlfriend, And so in this case, in that investigation, the young male committed suicide. And he didn't know how to handle that, and we found messages where the adult male was saying he was going to post these images and videos of him on pornography websites if he wouldn't keep sending him more. So it's very real, and it's happening to kids in South Dakota. These are signs of grooming is what we call when people, or when these predators are contacting our young people online. So they'll definitely try to flatter you. I mean, they tell you exactly what you want to hear. Send you gifts, so like we were talking about, you asked about like payment. I'm sure some send money, I'm sure that is out there. But what we've seen is, they'll send cameras or tablets. And again, those types of devices, they have cameras, right? And you can take more pictures and you can video record, and it makes them just those kids more accessible to them. We had a case where a young girl here in South Dakota was in a relationship with a registered sex offender out of state. And he actually sent her a cell phone and was getting her to send him images and videos. And so we work with our ICAC investigators, we work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And so we received a tip that this was going on, that she was communicating with this man. And so we go to the house and we talk to mom and dad and we say, we know your daughter has a cell phone and is communicating and sending inappropriate pictures. And they look at us like we're crazy because she doesn't have a cell phone. It's like, okay, we know she has a cell phone. And they're like, no, she doesn't have a cell phone. So at that point, we had to write a search warrant and go to a judge and say, Judge, these are reasons why. We know she has a cell phone. This is the information we have. We need to help this young lady. So we get the search warrant from the judge, go back to the house, and what do you think we find? A cell phone. So she had a cell phone, and she was keeping it a secret from her parents. But the guy she was talking to, he's feeding her the information that this is your fault and you're the one who's going to get in trouble. You're the one who is in all these images and videos. You're creating this, putting it all on her, and she was terrified that we were there for her. So that happens. Also, part of our job as ICAC investigators is that we go undercover online, so we can act if we're teenage kids also. And some of our investigators, we've received bus tickets, airplane tickets, gadgets, you name it, underwear, shoes. It's very real. This is going on. So these predators, they like to discuss adult subjects with kids. A lot of times they will send links to pornography just to see how a kid will react, if they're curious or ask questions, or if they make that their new normal, just to get them seeing those types of relationships and what they can do together. What I like to tell kids is that if any adult asks you to keep the secret, that's a red flag. No adult should ever be asking you to keep a secret, especially about a relationship. These online predators, they do a really good job of turning these kids against their family and friends. So they will completely isolate them, turn their schedules upside down. It happens, and it happens very quickly a lot of times. They're going to ask for those revealing images or videos, and that blackmail portion. It isn't in every case, but we see it in a lot of them too. So the main thing with these young people, if they're in a situation like that, we want them to know that it's not their fault. And I know growing up in the Midwest, talking about sex and pornography and things like that, it's not our nature, and it's really hard to have conversations like that with adults or parents, and sometimes even friends. We don't like to admit that we're in a situation like this. But I need kids to know that it's not their fault, and we want to help them get out of this before they make a decision that's going to change the rest of their life. So we ask young people to report anyone who sends them adult images. or if you've sent images yourself, please talk to someone. Report anyone who asks to meet you offline. That's when it gets really scary, when they want to meet up. All right, then we'll get into cyberbullying. So when I was in school, if we were going to bully someone, you know, the people who know about it are in the immediate area, right? You make your comments, you say those words, and only the people there know about it, and you get to go home. Today, with social media, this gets magnified so much. These kids, the comments go out to everyone, right? Everyone gets to see them. When they go home, those comments are still there on their phone. They just can't get away from these comments. And here's some examples of what cyberbullying is, and I hope this isn't an issue here in Wagner, but it just can become, you know, a real nightmare for some young people. I'm gonna skip through there. So, working with my mom, who's a teacher, she's like, you have to let families know like what symptoms are of a cyberbully teen. And so these are some that we see is they have low self-esteem, feel are lonely or nervous about going to school. And I think that could be a teenager on any given day, right? There's good days and bad. But it's really hard to see. So it's hard for parents to pick up on, and it's really hard for teachers to pick up on too. So we ask, you know, young people if they feel they're being cyberbullied, don't respond, and that can be really hard to do for young people. On social media sites, we can, you know, set up blocks where they can't comment anymore, you can't see those comments, and then just to set up a new account. And while that sounds simple, it's not what kids want to do. A lot of time and energy goes into those accounts. There's a lot of personal information there, and they're hard just to get rid of. Make a report and talk to a trusted adult. Again, I like to tell kids to talk to a trusted adult because it can be really hard to go to mom and dad, but sometimes talking to a teacher or a coach or counselor is a little more accessible and can make those things easier. How you can help if you're a bystander or if you see this happening, just document what you see. Don't encourage it, don't participate. If anything, you could stand up for the victim, but report, you know, a lot of these cyberbullying things, they become so convoluted, we don't know where it starts and ends. So don't become a part of that narrative, just either stand up or report. That's really the best thing that you can do. And again, I think it all goes back to that golden rule. Keep comments to yourself. Don't do anything that's going to be disrespecting of others. All right. So then a few other areas of concern I'd like to share with parents. So in regards to social media, we see a lot of cases now where kids will have multiple social media accounts. So here's Instagram, and this might be a normal Instagram account where, you know, this Ashley might be friends with her family and friends and adults. But then she might also have, you know, another Instagram account that's for only friends and only things she doesn't want mom and dad to see. And I work really exclusively with digital evidence, so cell phones and computers. And I worked a case the other day where a girl had 3 Instagram accounts. So you can see the one that's for mom and dad, and you can see the one that's for everyone else. Facebook, a lot of younger kids have, well, yeah, we'll talk about Snapchat, but Facebook, there is a messenger component, and a lot of people don't know there is a private conversation feature of that, and basically what that shows is those messages can disappear, those pictures can disappear, and you can set a timer on it. So it might look okay, but there might be stuff that's missing that mom and dad can't see if they're going through those messenger conversations. Snapchat, I'm convinced that every kid has Snapchat. And another way to show, especially if mom and dad says you can't have a Snapchat account or you can't have that Snapchat app on your phone, look at where the battery life is spent on your phone. A lot of Androids and iPhones, you can go to your battery and it'll show you the applications that have the top battery usage. So even if your Snapchat application got deleted, it could still show up in that battery usage. And a big part about Snapchat is that anyone has the ability to create this My Eyes Only. Basically, it's a little photo vault. And when you create that My Eyes Only vault, you have to create a 4-digit password with it. So if kids say, I didn't set it up, that's a lie, because you can only create that vault with the password. Okay, so you actually have to go into it and set it up. I would say 90% of the sexting cases I have involve Snapchat. We talked a little bit about dating websites. There's a ton of them out there. Bumble and Meet Me are two that we tend to see. Juveniles, you have to be either 18 or 21 for a lot of these dating applications, but it's really easy to fudge your age. And once you're in, you're in. So they don't go back and verify it or check it in any way. One thing we see a lot on cell phone exams with young people is that there are vault apps. So it might look like a calculator function, but it's actually a place where they can store their pictures where mom and dad probably won't see it. And again, it might be a passcode that you have to get into, but you enter the passcode and then it's there. And again, just our young people, and one of the videos kind of touched on it, our juvenile young males who like to game, so Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, things like that. A lot of those games have interactive components to it, and a lot of times parents don't like to spend money on those types of games or upgrading or getting the new games, but there could be online predators that are happy to do that. So we see a lot more juvenile male solicitation or enticement through gaming applications. So that's another thing too to keep an eye for your kids. Resources, so these are that I really like. NetSmarts is created by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's where a lot of these slides I use come from. They have wonderful content from K through high school. So anyone can go online and get that. They have pledges, so for families I think it's pretty cool. You can print those out and say that you're going to use your social media accounts and the internet responsibly. But they have a lot of great talking points for parents and even for young kids. It's good to have these conversations now because we know they're on their phones, they're playing these games, but just how to handle things if they are to come up. Smart Social, this is a really good website for parents too. So they have, there's thousands of different apps out there, and what they've done is they've gone through a lot of the apps, and it's kind of a quick and dirty breakdown of how those apps work and if they're good or bad. So I think they have 3 different color schemes for them and they recommend them for your kids to use them. They also have kind of a cheat sheet for parents on different acronyms and emojis that kids like to use in their conversations. So if you don't know what your kids are saying, you can go there and check it out. This application is called Circle of Six, and I like this for high school and college age girls, I would say in particular. So what you do is you pick your 6 closest family and friends, and you have 3 different options here. So if you have a young lady who's in a tough situation, she can open this app and it'll send a text message. So if she hits this GPS looking pin, it'll send her GPS location and says, I need help, this is where I'm at. And it sends it to all 6 of these people. Or she can hit the call button and it'll send a generic message to all 6 of these friends and say, I'm in a tough spot, please give me a call, I need to get away right now. Or she can hit the message, and it's just a text message that goes out to the friends saying, I just really need someone to talk to. So I think this is a really, this isn't calling 911, this is calling your family, and sometimes you just need a quick way to get out, and this gives kids that opportunity. Find My Friends, I think this is wonderful for parents and families to have. And they have this for, again, Android and iPhones, but basically you can put in your Apple ID for that user, and it'll show you where they're at. You can turn that function off, so be aware of that, but if you turn this on, you kind of have to go into, you have to make an effort to shut it off. So if you turn that on, I think it's great. Also, I think, there's a lot of kids out there that I work with who think using the internet and having the internet is a right, and that is not how this works. So I challenge parents to get creative, make them change that Wi-Fi password and get some work. When I do have these talks, a lot of times parents want to know what's that best parental app I can put on their phone so I know what they're doing. And there is no parental app that's going to share and tell you everything your kid is doing online or on social media. And I will tell you, once you get that app, your kid is going to become the best hacker and to find the ways around it. So nothing's going to replace your relationship and having that conversation with them. Even Snapchat, a lot of that is end-to-end encrypted, so a lot of that information is hidden. But one thing you can do, sit by them on the couch, see who they're talking to on Snapchat, and you can get a feel if they're pulling away from you or trying to hold their phone, to get you away from it. That you can tell where that conversation is going. Make sure you're having these conversations. Ask about their online friends. It's very common for young people today to feel like they're in dating committed relationships with people they've never met before. So ask them about their friends, their apps, the websites they like to go to. Ask them if they've seen things that they don't like, or if someone has sent them pictures or links that were inappropriate. Ask them if anyone's asked for personal information, or if anyone has ever talked about coming to meet them. And I think this is really cool, is just having a family electronic or social media plan. Make time to talk about your digital citizenship and safety. And a really good way to do that is do a Google search. Put your kid's name and Wagner, South Dakota, and see what comes up. Show them what's following them around. Do the same with yourself. What's out there about you? I mean, it can be interesting what you'll find out.
What if it's not true? What do you do?
Yeah.
I don't know who creates it, I don't know how that even starts, but,
Yep.
and if colleges or employers are looking, and you're like, well, I don't know.
Right.
I'm like, who gets that information?
Well, and just because it's out there doesn't mean it's true, so hopefully people are using that lens. But yeah, and there are a lot of online services out there where they will watch what's being said about you online, or they'll remove the negative things that are being said or shared that are untrue.
Right.
So yeah, and those are a lot of paid services, but they're out there. I would also, on that same note, I would also challenge families to use technology with a purpose instead of a pastime, and find ways, when that college admissions rep or when that future employer goes online, that they're only going to see you in the best light possible. That they're not going to see every coffee post that you had when you were 17 years old. But you show the activities that you're in, show your sports, your bands, all your accomplishments. Use it as social media. We always hear that it's a highlight reel. Make it your highlight reel. Make it something that you can be proud of. Simple screen time rules. Again, and my disclaimer is I don't have kids, but I think these are great recommendations. But just screen time schedules. So try to keep the TV off and the phones away from the dinner table. We play games where the first one who touches their phone has to pick up the next round of drinks or pay for dinner. It's just amazing the amount of anxiety that people can have if they're away from their phone. How about no screens an hour before bedtime? I think that's a great rule. And no screens in the bedroom. I don't think there's a reason for kids to have laptops or cell phones in the bedroom. Mine comes a lot from what I do with my work, but that's my, I think it's a great role. Working with kids, again, require permissions from your parents before downloading a new game or an application. I think that's really important. Know what's on your kids' phones, know what's on their gaming devices, and do your homework. Throw that application into Google. Go to Smart Social. See who, even better yet, you download that app. You see who tries to interact with you, or what type of messages you get sent. Test it. Do your homework. I think it's smart to have family charging station and to keep them, in a secure location, or an area that's open to everyone. So a kitchen or a parent's bedroom. At night, collect those devices, put them in mom and dad's bedroom to charge. Earn screen time by doing household chores. Get some work out of your kids. And then for parents who just model good screen time behaviors as well. Every down moment do you have, are you on your phone scrolling through Instagram or, just kind of using that to veg out. Our kids, I know they're copying other things that we do in our life, so they're going to look at to you how you're using social media and how you use your cell phone also. And it's just really important, again, to remind them that they can always come to you or trusted adults if they ever experience anything uncomfortable online. Let them know that's okay to talk about it, and we want to work with them and help them and get them out of that situation before it becomes worse. So, all right. So, thank you for coming out and for your attention and good questions. I appreciate it. And yeah, if you have more questions, I'm happy to help too.